Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the return of Enter the Ring Live on Monday, June the 12th, 2023, with your three favorite brothers and boxing hosts, Mighty Mike in California,
AJ Rage in El Paso, Texas.
And Eric the Red in Gresham, Oregon. Not Portland. Believe me, it's not Portland.
not Portland.
Not Portland, Oregon.
What's going on, guys? How's everything going?
Oh, man, dude.
it's
Sorry,
just
guys, I
good
had
to
to
be
adjust my
back.
camera there.
Good to be back. Good to be back. See my brothers.
Absolutely.
It's been a while. Obviously, things in
Excuse me,
boxing
Mike.
have been good, and they're heating up as we're hitting the summer. So we figure let's give our take on what's transpired in the last few weeks and what we have on tap for the next, well, hopefully throughout the end of summer. You guys want to do a quick update on how everybody's doing? Everybody good, or just jump right into these boxing matches?
Let's hear about you guys.
Go
AJ.
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Here
AJ.
we go. Okay. Things going good. Still working over with the tribe, doing my thing. Dealing with
Your
this,
Slipknot shirt on, I see.
huh?
You got your Slipknot shirt on?
Yeah, not a big fan of Slipknot anymore, but you know, I grabbed whatever was close by. So it is what it is. But you know, just keep my head above water. Great week of boxing. Was excited. I think I might have sold my soul. You know, made some harsh predictions. Probably gonna have to pay some pittance later on, but that's about me, man. How's it going with you, little brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just plugging away, working hard. Got my youngest daughters going away to school here soon, which is expensive, but you know, we're just.
Where's that school at?
It's actually it's pretty close to us. It's about 15-20 minutes away.
Oh, so
and
she could
it's-
just commute then.
No, she's actually, it's a live-in school.
Oh,
Yeah, no, she's going into the ministry field. And so she wants to go into actual missionary, the missionary field, which is for dad. I'm like, oh, hell no.
as long as she
But,
doesn't
you know-
go to Papua New Guinea. We had a family member that just did that, and that place is not safe for young ladies. Not
Yeah,
safe.
no, that's my thing. I mean, if she ends up getting assigned somewhere dangerous, I'm gonna go with her. I don't care.
or you
I'll
you
just
can
sell
just
everything and go.
or I'm sure she can opt out and go somewhere else, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely. So,
so
but yeah, I mean, aside from that, you know, I'm proud of her. She just got her license. Yes, today, literally.
I was going to ask her about if she's driving yet.
Yeah, she's driving now. Finally, thank God. But yeah, no. So we're you know, a lot of milestones for her. You know, so
That's great, man. Yeah, we're all proud of her. That's awesome. I mean, you know, a lot of kids these days, which is 18 now, right?
19.
19, a lot of
Wow.
19-year-olds don't take that path in life. They just want to be out, you know, on the
Partying
social
and-
medias and partying and this and that. And so did something right there, dude.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. It wasn't me. It was the big guy upstairs.
Yeah.
So, how about you, Mikey?
Oh, good. Just, you know, real estate's picking back up now. Is good. My daughters are doing good. My youngest got accepted at NYU. So
Yes.
we're not sure, you know, she made the trip there 2 weeks ago. We're not sure if she's going to go. I think she's probably 50, maybe even 60-40 now about staying home locally and maybe
Yeah.
trying to apply to USC Business School or something, which I wouldn't have a problem with. At the end of the day, though, she's pretty independent. She'll make her decision. You know,
Yeah,
she'll pray about it and she'll make the right decision for her. So
she's a good girl. She's a good
Yeah.
girl. So
It's good that she's got those options, though. Can you guys hear me good? and Everything?
yeah.
It's good that she's got those options, though. I mean, it just shows you. I mean, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, bro. You know, you
No
did a great job, bro. Both
No
of
way.
you guys did a great job.
Mikey and AJ and little Colty just graduated from middle school. Was it middle school? He's going into high
Yeah,
school.
he's going to
now?
high school now.
Going to high school,
Dude,
man. Colty
Where's the
Bear, yeah.
time going, man? The freaking time. It's like, what the hell? I saw the pictures too. AJ, he looks so much like you, dude.
I
That
don't
is
know, man. I don't know.
I'm
Man. I think he
telling
looks a
you,
lot
he-
like Mike, dude. But hey, let's get into boxing, guys. Let's talk some boxing, man. I've been
Yeah.
itching.
We
Yeah,
had
me
a,
too.
we had a good weekend of boxing. We had boxing on DAZN. We had two cards on the DAZN network. We had a card on Friday night from Miami. We had a card, obviously here in Ontario, California. That I was at. Oops, what did I do here? Ontario, California. That I was able to attend. I think we should start off with the fights that came from the UK on Saturday. Sonny Edwards. Admittedly, I was not able to watch that fight because I was working all
I
day.
did. That's all.
What was your? I mean, because I had heard a lot of good things about Sonny Edwards. He's slick and whatever. But what happened in this fight?
Okay, so here's my take on Sonny Edwards. Okay. Slick fighter, an anomaly for a UK fighter. He's slick. He can move, not a whole lot of power. He runs his mouth. His mouth is about as fast as his fists. He's
a talker.
He's a talker. It was his first fight on DAZN, but this is a guy who really hasn't faced. If you go back a couple years when Sonny Edwards, and I can't remember the young man's that he fought, but he was a kid from Mexico, and it was a very hotly disputed decision that went in Sonny Edwards' favor, where everybody felt that Sonny Edwards had been thoroughly defeated.
Mhm.
He fights this young man named Compass that comes into this fight, that came in undefeated, vastly untested. Edwards won majority of the rounds, won an easy decision, and then right away starts calling out anyway and other people. I mean, it was just
Wow.
like he just starts running this list of.
Well, I know he called out Bam Rodriguez, right?
I'm sorry. I take that back. I apologize. Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Now,
Yeah.
I've seen Jesse Bam Rodriguez fight since probably his 6th pro fight. Jesse has proven time and time again to be that guy. He's had his ups and downs, but he's
Yeah.
been thoroughly dominant. The bottom line is, I think even Eddie Hearn in his conversation at the end was like, you know, Sonny Edwards, he's an entertaining fighter. He brought fans. It's good to have him on the DAZN platform. But we're talking Jesse Bam Rodriguez here, but it's a very doable fight because Jesse Bam Rodriguez has fought on DAZN, so this is a very makeable fight. So, Sonny Edwards may have just written a check his ass may not be able to cash. I honestly don't see that fight going in Edwards' favor. We know that Jesse Bam Rodriguez has no issue going to the UK, going wherever he has to go. To me, he's just a more rounded fighter, and being the fact that, you know, Sonny is very unorthodox and he does get hit in different aspects. I just don't think, I mean, to me personally, I mean, I'd like to see the fight, but I just don't think he's got the firepower when he's going to need it against a guy like a Bam Rodriguez.
It might be 2023's version of Nassim Hamed, the slick, unorthodox guy versus Ferreira, who just put a beating on him.
Yeah.
Sent him into retirement.
Yeah, and the thing was about Sonny Edwards. I mean, there was a point where I wanted to kind of like remind this guy, you're only a couple inches away from being a midget, bro, and you're acting like you're on top of the world. You're the biggest guy in the room.
So Sonny Edwards ended up winning for specifics. He ended up winning at a split decision, or was it unanimous?
No, it was a unanimous decision. It was a unanimous decision. Yeah.
And how did you feel about the cards? Do you think they were accurate, or were they just too
no, they
one-sided?
were accurate. They were accurate. I think that I can't tell you exactly, but I believe the cards were like 117, 111 across the board. So he won comfortably, but like you said, he just wasn't overly impressive, or did he get hit a lot in this fight, or what? Well, it wasn't that he got hit a lot, but the times that he did get hit, he was going against a guy who had 4 knockouts. Sonny Edwards himself only has 4 knockouts on his record. You get in there with a guy like a Bam Rodriguez who could punch. The punches that he took from Campos, he's not going to be as resilient when he gets in there against a guy like a Bam Rodriguez who puts together those ferocious combinations and hits with the power that he hits with. Sonny Edwards
and goes to the body a lot.
He's gonna. I hate to say he's gonna learn a hard lesson, bro, but that's what happens. But I mean, weirder things have happened in boxing. If there's anybody in the division who might be slick enough, who might be fast enough,
yeah,
sometimes confidence can carry you a long way. And believe me, Sonny Edwards, for a small stature as a man, you know, he brings a lot of confidence to the plate.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that. If they can make that fight, that'd be a good fight. Like I said, I won't miss that fight. I just had no choice this weekend. I already had a full afternoon and late afternoon and evening of boxing. There's no way I could have blown off work for the day. Anything further to say about that fight? Anything good on the undercard?
There was another fight, Johnny Fisher. You know, you're aware of him. He's a local, attraction. Good kid, you know. But like Johnny Fisher, kind of getting a little too full of himself. Fought against a guy who came in here from, I believe it was from Mexico. This Santos kid. The guy had no business being in the ring. The guy hadn't fought but maybe once or twice in the past 3 years. It was a non-existent punch that he got hit with in the first round. He went down and just made no effort. I mean, honestly, if I was Eddie Hearn, I probably would have held his check. It probably cost more money to bring the guy over there than what he brought to the ring.
Really?
I know that Johnny Fisher's trainers were a little fatigued. They said they had worked really hard in the gym. They wanted to get some rounds in. I gotta wait. I mean, I got a simple solution for Johnny Fisher's trainers to get more rounds in. Fight somebody with the pulse. There's some
Yeah.
decent fighters out there. Fight a fighter that actually wants to come in and fight. Fight a guy that actually hasn't been on a 4 or 5 year layoff. Fight a guy who's actually coming off of some victories. There's some local commodities there. I mean, they're already talking. This guy's already talking like, you know, he's ready for the big show. There's a lot of local things. I mean, he can go for the UK title. There's you know, there's a Longsdale belts out there. There's a lot of lineal local titles that he can go after, but there's some solid opposition out there. There's a lot of really good fighters from Uzbekistan, Russia, Ukraine that fight within the UK. They're in the heavyweight division and stuff. I know they were talking about, I can't really think of the guy's name right off the top of my head, but Johnny Fisher has a long ways to go. Like I said, I mean, I know Eddie Hearn likes the fact that he brings a lot of fans to the ring. I love that he plays that John Denver song when he comes, you know, Rocky Mountain High. I think it's great. He's building the right base that you need.
Yeah.
But now it's time to see if this guy is really a proven commodity, or is he another Konowski who did the same thing a few years ago? The guy was
Yeah,
able
I
to
don't
bring
know.
tons of people, and then when it came to, you know, proof in the pudding, it just wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, let's go ahead and jump across the Atlantic Ocean over to Madison Square Garden in New York. And the reason I think I want to do this is because I really want to talk about the Munguia fight last, because I think of all the fights that happened this week, and that was definitely the fight to watch. I know a lot of people did watch the Teofimo Josh Taylor fight because it did overlap, but in terms of sheer action and bang for your buck, Munguia hands down versus Derevyanchenko was hands down the winner of the weekend. But let's talk about Lopez versus Taylor. AJ, you were very, very optimistic about Lopez's chances in this fight. Well, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you do, but Teofimo Lopez won a unanimous decision, correct?
Yes.
And it was a little bit closer on the scorecards than a lot of people thought it should have been. Either way, he did get the UD. I reserved making an actual prediction for the fight. Mine had caveats. I think I might have told you too, AJ. I don't know what else Josh Taylor has to prove. He had such a great run at 140 to win the titles, and then he had that 16-month layoff. How motivated was he?
Yeah.
And he obviously wasn't motivated enough. I'm not going to say he wasn't skilled enough, because we know he's a skilled fighter, but he just his body didn't react well. He came up short. I know that he said after the 5th or 6th round, he said he just kind of felt like his legs were kind of going on him. Didn't make any excuses. I've never seen a fighter lose like a bitter kind of a rivalry fight like that, like with a lot of trash talking, and be so content with the loss. Straight up respect for Josh Taylor, because he gave Teofimo all the credit. He said the ball's in your court. Now I read I saw another interview with him this morning the day after the fight, man, and him and all those people, man, they're drinking, they're partying. He's like, you know, hey, you know, it's you win some, you lose some. You can't win them all. And very respectable and very gentlemanly the way he lost the fight and the way he reacted since then. Now, maybe when all the dust settles and everything gets quiet and he's home and it sinks in, he's sitting there, man, maybe that's where we'll know where's Josh Taylor going to be. Is Josh Taylor going to really now go to 147 and campaign there? There's no way Teofimo will give him a rematch. It's just, there's nothing in it for Teo. So
yeah, there's you know,
Now I only got to see like the first 5 to 6 rounds of that fight. And the way I had it,
I heard he started strong in the first.
He started
round.
strong. I mean, I literally I had him 4 for 5 in the first 5 rounds. And I had no ifs, ands, or buts for either one of them, quite honestly.
Yeah, he had no preference.
Yeah, there was no what's the
bias,
word?
no bias.
Yeah, there's no bias either way. But Josh Taylor, to me, was doing it. You know what I mean? In the first portion. But then, of course, I had customers, so I had to stop watching the fight. So I didn't get to see the end. But I guess the end, starting in round 6 on up, it kind of switched. And so I can see how, Teofimo was definitely faster. He was definitely the faster guy in the ring.
More athletic, AJ. You had mentioned to me, he was just just a better athlete.
And I think that's my take. Like I said, coming into this fight, I know there was a lot of naysayers. A lot of people thought, and it's not that I'm a huge Teofimo fan. I mean, we know Teofimo runs his mouth, blah blah blah, whatever. But coming into the fight, I always look at the fighters' characters. Teofimo's character was Teofimo Lopez. He's going to run his mouth a bit. He's going to talk about the takeover. This, I saw a lot of aggression from Josh Taylor, and I think a lot of that aggression is a spillover from all of the negative stuff that he's had to endure based on his lackluster performance against Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whatever the reason that fight didn't get made, it didn't fall in the favor of Josh Taylor. A lot of people kind of, I'm not gonna say signed him off, but kind of had a different opinion going into this fight. Maybe took away some of his dominance, being the fact that he was beaten by a guy who was kind of a local product and kind of an unknown at the time.
Yeah.
I know he got the decision, but it was a very questionable decision. I know for myself personally, it was a close
I had
fight. but
Catterall up.
I felt Catterall had pulled out the decision.
Yeah.
Teofimo's been in that same situation. I look at how people bounce back based off of Teofimo's loss to George Kambosos. You know, he came back, he won some fights, didn't look stellar, but at the end of the day was fighting against good fighters, guys like Sandor Martin and other ones, you know, Pedro
Who beat
Campos.
Mikey Garcia, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are guys who, you know, are I'm not gonna say the top of the chain, but I mean they're there. These are the competitive guys you need to fight. So who was a more prepared fighter going into this fight? It was going to be Teofimo Lopez.
Oh,
The other
yeah.
thing that
Yeah,
I
he fought
noticed-
three times in 10 months, and Josh Taylor had 0 fights in 16 months. You can't
And
do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And-
You can't, yeah.
And the thing is about with Josh Taylor too is one of the things why I favor Teofimo going into this fight, and I think even, you know, was just, and Mike touched on it too, was just the pure athleticism. You're going to get fighters out there that just have athleticism. You go back to guys like Deontay Wilder. He may not be the most skilled fighter, but he's an athlete. He's played multiple sports. He's got athleticism. That's the thing you saw in Teofimo Lopez and his legs, the way he was able to move, the way, and I think the first 5 rounds were competitive, but the telling punches were being thrown by Teofimo, and I can see what Teofimo was doing. He was putting Josh exactly where he wanted to put him, and Josh's reaction time was getting slower and slower as the rounds are going, and the punches were coming in more fluent and coming in harder. And I think it was the 6th or 7th round when Taylor got hit with a nice hook that you could tell it had a little bit of an effect. I'm not gonna say he was completely rocked, but he had an effect on him where I think at that point Taylor's like, hey, you know, this guy hits a lot harder than I thought he could.
And he started timing him too, right? He started
Timing him.
countering. He started countering, and then Taylor to me looked like he got hesitant a little bit. And then when he would throw, if he tried to get greedy and throw, you know, a 3-punch combination or anything more than that, that's when he was getting countered.
Well,
He was getting countered hard. A lot of uppercuts landed.
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact was Teofimo's timing and the fact that he was countering Josh, and Josh was filling those punches. So whenever Josh tried to get offensive and try to let his hands go, he knew there was something coming back.
Yeah.
The other thing is coming up to leading up to the fight, Teofimo had said something I talked to Mike about that I thought was perfect. And a lot of fighters should really take notice of what Teofimo said. And I'm not saying Teofimo is, you know, the Nostradamus or the, you know, the technician of boxing, but he said something to Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was talking about how he had moved for Ben Davidson onto a new trainer. Teofimo said, you know, you can get with the new trainer, but it doesn't mean you're not going to fall back on old habits. The bottom line is that Josh Taylor had success against guys like Regis Prograis, guys like Evan Baranchuk. If anybody deserved the credit for winning the undisputed championship, it was Josh Taylor. But something happened to Josh Taylor after that fight against Jack Catterall. Mentally.
During the fight against Jack Catterall.
Yeah, mentally, there's just whatever edge, whatever that grit, that thing that he would bite down on that made him that tough Scottish monster, you know, the Tartan tornado, it just wasn't there. And
That's what I said. I said, what's his motivation?
Exactly.
He climbed the mountaintop, and his path to winning 140 was about the most impressive one in my memory, even more so than Kostya Tszyu, because Kostya Tszyu did it in a 3-belt era. The WBO still wasn't really recognized.
He did it in the 4-belt era.
He did it in the 4-belt, and he fought Ramirez, Baranchuk, and Prograis, three high quality.
I mean, and the thing was, let's be honest, Josh Taylor never truly got the credit he deserved for winning all those belts. It was always, the shine was always going somewhere else.
Well, but you know what? I'm going to say it. Hey, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. It's because of the color of his skin.
Yeah.
It was like he was never given the credit of being a skilled boxer puncher, because he was a fighter, but he could box, and he had decent enough pop to drop Ramirez twice. He never dropped Prograis, but he had Prograis busted up and wobbled a couple times. Nothing really bad, but
Yeah.
it just comes down to that. It's like he wasn't supposed to be there. So it was, I don't think he ever really made it past like 10 or 9 on people's pound for pound list, even though he was the undisputed champion at 140.
Well,
And
you saw that too, bro, with the fact that whenever any of these big fights were called at 140, like when Tank Davis was stepping up fighting against guys like Mario Barrios, there was always a name that was always left off that list, and that name was Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
So in a way, this has been a fight that Teofimo and his father have been calling for a while. I'll say it again. Sometimes people see things in fighters that they know that they can exploit. They knew that. The one thing about Josh that I think that is going to be his downfall is he's just not very fleet of foot. He doesn't have that speed or that athleticism to compete with some of these guys. Now, his victory over Regis Prograis, don't get me wrong, Regis Prograis is an amazing fighter, but he's another guy who's not very fleet of foot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so when you're going to get in there against a guy who can move like Teofimo did, and Teofimo did something smart. From the 6th round on, he started boxing. He went back to being Gordo. He went back to those amateur days, how he used to box, peppered him with the jab, getting that right hand in. It's like this. And they weren't expecting that. They thought it was going to be the Teofimo who was what he did against Sandor Martin. See the difference?
Just looking for the knockout. Just looking for the
knockout. Yeah. But the reason was because Sandor Martin was even more fleet of foot than Teofimo Lopez. So it was kind of like, one guy's got to play the bull, one guy's got to play the matador. Well, this time, Teofimo was the matador, where last fight he was the bull. Now he was the matador. Josh Taylor was the bull, and he just couldn't put it all together. And I knew going into the 11th round, the tide had totally turned at that point. And I really questioned whether Josh was even going to get out of the 12th round because he got hurt. I mean, I know he said he was gassed, but
I thought he had a decent 11th round, but the 12th round, Taylor really poured it on him. I think he emptied the gas tank at round 11, and then Taylor just took advantage of it. He survived it. Whatever onslaught Taylor was trying to.
You saw that Teofimo went against what his dad. His dad was like, we got this fight, just go out there and box. And Teo went out there and went for the knockout. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to say it again, man. That's the difference. That's the guys who put themselves on the map. So the guys that say, listen, I'm not going to take anything for granted. And we're going to talk about this more in the Munguia fight. You can never take anything for granted with these judges today. We've seen this time and time again, how many guys are coming in short, short on the stick. Teofimo knew. If you look at those scorecards, I think they were way too close. And if Teofimo wouldn't have had that impressive 12th round, who knows what might have happened? So he went out there and had that impressive 12th round. Congratulations, Teofimo Lopez. It's unfortunate for Josh Taylor, but this goes to a segment that I was talking about. One guy's going to get welcome to the show, and one guy's got to go. So we got to ask ourselves, where do these two fighters go from this point now?
So that was my question. Where do you think Josh Taylor has to do, or what do you guys think he has to do to actually?
If I could chime in on this real quick, and I'll make it real brief, Mike, and I'll let you jump on it. I watched an interview today with Josh Taylor. He's talking about how he's been struggling at 140. He wants to move up to 147. There's no promised land at 147. 147, Josh Taylor may be a big guy from 140. I don't know. Maybe we'll see how he transitions at 147 pounds. But I don't see Josh Taylor going in there fighting against guys like Errol Spence and these other guys. I mean, these are totally different monsters. So
that 7 pound will make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I know he says that he feels he's going to feel better at that weight. He's not going to be struggling. It's like, and it could be true to form. But then again,
supposedly Teofimo was on with Kellerman today, and he says I'm done. He said he retired. He said
I heard that too.
So if that's the case, he only won one belt Saturday night, which was shocking because Max Kellerman was calling him the two-time undisputed champion. It's like he was not undisputed at 140. He won one belt. It doesn't matter if
he won the ring belt he won or something.
He won the ring belt.
So that's kind of considered like the
WBO belt. I think he won the WBO belt, the one where Gino Rodriguez is the official for. So who else has the belts right now at 140? You got Rolly has a belt at 140.
You got Matias,
Super Matias, Rolly. Teo has one belt. Who's got the other belt? Prograis, who won the vacant belt over Zepeda.
Yeah.
So the belts, I mean, if he wants to stay at 140, I mean, he could be the champion again at 140. I mean,
I already saw talk today about Teofimo and Rolly Romero. So I think that fight gets
I'm hearing that. Rolly versus Ryan. I'm hearing all kinds of talk. But at this point, I don't think we'll see a Rolly versus Garcia is a much more marketable fight than Teofimo versus Rolly.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I like-
Garcia
I
is
like-
still going to bring a lot of, he's still going to bring a lot of,
People.
and not only that, you know, Rolly's a PBC guy, and Ryan Garcia, even though he's still technically with Golden Boy, there's no doubt that fight could be made because they just had the Tank versus Garcia. Is Bob Arum willing to work with PBC? You know, Rolly PBC and then top rank Teofimo, or is Teofimo done with top rank? Was that his last fight under contract? Who knows?
Well, he's making those comments. He wants to get paid, and I hate to say it, but I mean, they're gonna have to pay the man. I mean, the bottom line is, I mean,
I don't blame him. If he said he only got $1 million for that fight, that's pathetic.
That's pathetic. That's
That's a
pathetic.
pathetic pay to you. If he only
I
got
mean-
$1 million, I mean, he was a challenger, so I'm hoping Josh Taylor got at least 1.5, right?
I would think so, but like I said, I mean, going back, what we said before we move on, the doors open up for Teofimo again, depending on where. As I understand, he's got a lot of personal issues, but Teofimo's always had personal issues, man. Come on, let's be honest. He's
Yeah, he
Puerto
said
Rican,
I
he's from
actually-
New York. It is what
He's
it
not
is.
Puerto Rican. He's from
Or
Honduras.
Honduras. I'm sorry.
But
from
I
Honduras.
feel my heart does go out to him in regards to the baby mama drama and him trying to get custody of his son and all that stuff. That's
Yeah,
got to
it
be
sucks,
tough.
dude.
That's
So I
got to
mean,
be tough.
that's got to say a lot for Teofimo's character. Like I said, I mean, he
His
understood.
parents tried to warn him.
Huh?
Junior tried to warn him.
Well, Junior warned him, man. He said, "Hey, man, stay away
What are
from
you
that
doing? Stay
cougar."
away from,
But he didn't
stay
listen.
away from
you know?
that.
Everybody told him, but like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, there's some lucrative fights out there that Teofimo can match up well against guys. I mean, possibly against guys like Prograis, who knows, whatever's going to happen later on. Josh Taylor, I just don't think that venturing into that realm of 147 pounds, I just don't see it.
Unless he could fight for a vacant title, WBO, somebody makes a phone call because he did well. But right now the WBO is owned by Terrence Crawford, right?
I mean, if he had his issues with Teofimo at 140 pounds, how does he beat a Virgil Ortiz or a Stanionis, or how does he beat? I mean, even an Ugas. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, these guys, these are different monsters, man.
Yeah, you're right. They're physically just big, strong guys, man.
Yeah, this is, and Josh just isn't built that way. He's a tall guy, but he's not real.
He's tall, but he's got a thin frame.
Yeah,
right.
and
He
just-
doesn't have a lot of bone density. You can see it. He's not real thick, you know, around the shoulders. He's kind of narrow. Yeah.
I think whatever he does, I think he's got to stay at 140. He's got to try to get that rematch against Teofimo. If not, go out win one of these other titles. Go after Rolly Romero. Get a rematch with Rigas Prograis. Go after Matias. There's a lot of opportunities out there. He's still a top linear guy. He's still one of the top 3 guys in the division. So,
I can see him fighting. I don't know. I think Prograis has other things on his mind. I think Prograis wants to go after who does he? I just heard
he's got a fight coming up right now.
Yeah, next week again. Is it next week against Lamparo? It's
Yeah.
next week, right?
Yep.
The
And
Australian
that's
guy.
not that guy's a tough guy, bro.
Yeah.
It's not a give me. It's not a give me. If you go back and look at some of the things this guy's done.
Yeah.
So, you know, Prograis another guy who, I'll be honest with you, I question his conditioning. He comes in, you know, he fights and he's got skill, but you got to kind of question his condition sometimes.
Well, he
his
was in good
motivation.
shape against Sean Zepeda. He was in good shape.
The
in
best
that
shape I've
fight.
ever seen, but he knew what he was going against. It was probably
Yeah.
the most dangerous fighter he'd ever fought in his career. I just
Yeah.
wish Chon would have came in with that same mentality, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to. Let's go ahead. I mean, do you guys even want to talk about the Adrian Broner fight? I mean,
That wasn't really much
I
to talk
didn't
about.
watch it.
he fought
Yeah,
on Friday night. It was where was it? It was in Florida, I think.
I
He
think
was in Florida, and he fought a journeyman guy, Hutchinson. Went all 10 rounds, right? But you know, I'm not mad at Broner for shedding the weight. I mean, you got to give him credit for shedding that weight. They said he was upwards as much as almost 190, 200 pounds. Got down to the 140-pound limit, you know, and he still has some skill. Obviously, it's not the same Broner, but anybody expecting to see the same Broner is they're just being silly, because how can it be the same guy? He hadn't fought in a couple of years. I think he hadn't fought since he lost to Manny Pacquiao, right?
Yeah, and I think of Broner, the one thing I'll always say about Broner, man, he's so highly skilled, and he has, once again, like Teofimo and some other fighters, he's got great legs, man. The guy can move, and he showed those flashes of brilliance that he showed in the past. If he just stays on the right track and keeps his head in the right place, Broner's not that old of a guy. He can get himself.
That's
Broner
what I
can
was
put
gonna
himself
ask.
back in the mix against
Yeah,
guys.
I think
like
he's only
Prograis and all these
32 or
guys.
33 years old.
I'm
He's not an
saying.
old guy.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I
just
was going to ask.
this.
How old
He's
is
got to get
is he now?
this where it needs to be, you know?
Yeah.
And it all starts with letting his hands go. You know, when he lets his
Yeah.
hands go, Broner's dangerous.
Yeah.
But he just, for some reason, that Mayweather just really scrambled his brains, man. You know, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go ahead and jump to my opinion. I mean, I'm obviously we're all biased. I'm very biased, but it really was the best fight of the weekend. It was Jaime Munguia winning a decision, close unanimous decision over Sergey Derevyanchenko in Ontario. I've been to quite a few fights there over the years, and it wasn't a sellout, meaning like there were still a few empty seats way up at the top, but all the lower bowl and all the mid-level seats, the mid-level low seats were completely full. It was the loudest boxing event I've been to in years. It was, I mean, the atmosphere was great. Jaime, and I've seen Jaime fight in Houston. I've seen him fight here in California, Ontario. I mean, you look at when he came on the scene 6 years ago when he won the title against Saddam Ali, right? He fought in Verona, New York. He's fought in Houston. He's fought in Monterrey, Mexico. He's fought in San Antonio. He's fought in Vegas, right? I was at that fight when he fought Brandon Cook on the undercard of Triple G Canelo 2. He fought now in Ontario. I mean, the guy is fighting all over the place, man, and he's just building his fan base. And if you would have been there and on Saturday and talked to the people that I talked to, you know, standing in line to get something to drink, to use your, you're talking to people, man, and people are on the Jaime Munguia train. They are jumping off of the Canelo train and jumping on the Munguia. And this is no knock on Canelo, because Canelo's a superb fighter, but he's just not making the fights that people want to see. People want to see him against, they don't want to see him fight against John Ryder. And I'm not mad at him for fighting John Ryder, because I think he earned the right to go back and fight at home in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, you know, boxing people are fickle, man, and they're
Very
funny and they're
fickle.
fair weather friends. And if you're not giving them the fights and the action, and the next guy, the 26-year-old kid from TJ, is blood and guts warrior. Trust me, dude. What their entertainment dollars are spread thin. Do I go see Canelo fight in Vegas against another guy, or do I go see Jaime fight against anybody, because Jaime's going to bring it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's defensively flawed enough still to where the fights are exciting. You're like, what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. It was a nail. Go ahead, Eric. Go give your take. I'll go
No,
last.
I was just going to say, I mean, amazing fight, absolutely amazing fight. I actually took at my business and completely blocked out one of the rooms so I could run it into my the television, you know, so I can actually watch the fight. Amazing fight, absolutely amazing fight. The cards were right. I think maybe one more round for Jaime. I think they had it what 113, 115, something like that.
Yeah, 115.
Two of them. I had it 116, 112 is what I had it scored at.
Either way, it was close. Either way, it was a razor.
It was a close fight, but you know what? Jaime won. Point blank.
There's a couple people that were like, well, you know, Derevyanchenko. I mean, they did use the word robbed, but what we saw a few weeks ago, there's nothing in comparison. But
it was
you feel for Derevyanchenko, because you know he comes so damn close. And if he wouldn't have got dropped in that 12th round, he might have.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't have been mad, even though I'm a Jaime Munguia fan. I wouldn't have complained. I'd have been like, hey, you know what, Jaime, you let him steal too many rounds.
Yep.
You know, either way, though, the loss wouldn't have hurt Munguia, because the way he fought.
25.
Yeah.
I mean,
26 years old.
You know what I
want?
want?
Hit a little harder right now.
You know what I want? I want Munguia to go undefeated past where Mayweather is. That to
honestly,
me,
I don't even
He
think
just might. He just might.
That's what I want.
He's right on the corner for that.
Honestly, that's what I want. That's what I want. And you know what? For Chris Mannix, asshole, by the way.
The guy's never picked up a boxing glove. He doesn't know what a boxing glove is.
He has no clue about boxing, period.
No,
but
I will say one
thing.
thing.
Hold on. I want to hear what he said. What was Mannix saying? Because I was watching it live there.
Yeah, you were watching
thank
it
God
live.
I didn't
but
have to hear
he was saying that, you know, Jaime doesn't have really a lot of people, and you know he doesn't have a great record.
Trying
to downplay everything, right?
Trying to downplay all the people that were there, like they weren't there to see Jaime.
And you know what's funny is the fact of the matter is, we know personally that people have not mentioned Munguia's name and have strayed away from him because of him.
But I'll tell you this, though,
and what the kind of boxer he is. And so, you know what? Mannix was just feeding
Mannix,
flame. Right? He's a effing idiot. Sorry.
Yeah.
I would.
Down to this.
I'm sorry.
Who was
Michael,
who was
you were there.
Surprise fan.
If I was there with you on Saturday, I would have walked down and made my way down to Mannix and punched him in the head. I would have. The
Yeah,
guy's
that guy's an idiot.
Guy's an idiot. He's an ass.
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you who surprised me out of the whole entire card was the guy who actually stuck up for Jaime more than anybody. And that's Sergio Mora, who never shows any love for Jaime Munguia.
Yeah.
Because Sergio Mora said it best at the very end of the fight. He said, listen, Jaime Munguia did what champions are supposed to do when he dropped Derevyanchenko. That's why Derevyanchenko will never be a champion. He's a great fighter. But I have a different take on here. Why people are going to come back and go, well, Derevyanchenko, he may have won that fight, close fight against Gennady Golovkin, and he probably won against Daniel Jacobs. And then he did what he did against Jaime Munguia. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so this is my take. When Derevyanchenko went into the fights against people like Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs, his biggest fights to date, okay, he hadn't made any mistakes. He didn't have that experience at that level yet, even in his fight against Charlo. Okay, so he learned from those 3 fights, and he took that knowledge of what his shortcomings in each one of those fights were, and he put that all together and put it out on the table against Munguia this past Saturday.
And Munguia
And
still
the
beat
fact
him.
that Munguia was able to endure that pressure, those punches, and still come back, even not in the best condition, with an absentee trainer and a bunch of other bullshit probably going on around the camp,
Tired of that.
was able to come out and listen to the people, listen to his heart, and truly pull out that Tijuana tornado monstrosity that he is and drop Derevyanchenko. And I tell you right now, honestly, I guarantee you, man, some people got some eardrums, because I tell you now, I heard that shit all the way back here in El Paso when he hit that ground.
Dude, it
bro.
was loud.
The ground shook, bro. The ground shook. You go to social media at that moment, everybody went nuts.
It was.
And that's what Jaime Munguia brings to the table.
It was shaking in Gresham, Oregon, because I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
Well, I mean,
what's weird is that when that happened, and from where I was sitting, my view, how do I say it? There was a lot of time left in that round. And I think if the referee would have did a little bit better job of not allowing Derevyanchenko to clinch, Derevyanchenko actually in this fight, he fought dirty. He did a lot of punching on the clinches.
And
but and the funny thing is Jaime, I don't know what the kid, he's completely empathetic. He never complains to the ref.
Nope.
He complained a little bit about the headbutt. He just kind of went like this, because there was a pretty good headbutt.
That's where he got marked up on his face, was from the headbutts.
Yeah, but he didn't complain. And AJ, what you said about taking all that experience from the 3 previous guys that he fought, I agree with you 100%. And I was talking to somebody about that. I don't remember who I was talking to, but what I saw was that Munguia, people were saying, "Oh, you're fighting an old Derevyanchenko." Well, Derevyanchenko got a late start in his career anyways, because he had an extensive amateur career. Okay, he was 37 years old. He had just turned 37, but this was a very dangerous Sergey Derevyanchenko. This was a guy that knew, I cannot lose this fight. There will be no more chances for me. So a dangerous fighter, a desperate fighter is a dangerous fighter. Absolutely. And this was the best Sergey Derevyanchenko. Had nothing to do with Jaime's deficiencies or flaws, because I was there and I saw, I mean, you guys saw it on TV and I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the physicality of Derevyanchenko. That guy was put together. That extra 7 pounds served him well. He was a rock.
He pushed and
that was not the same guy who lost. That was not the same guy who lost to Carlos Adames or lost to fucking Jamal.
No,
Charlo.
I'd like to see Derevyanchenko fight Charlo again. I see it now.
Yeah, at 168.
And in the fifth round, when they said, here's the thing, when people were thinking that Jaime was hurt and he was going to go, it's weirdest thing, guys. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at me, I know so much, but I had seen Jaime in sparring situations comparable to that 100 times, not 100 times, 100 rounds. And not even when he was getting hit with flush shots, I never was in fear of him going down.
No,
he will not go down.
An iron fucking chin.
He will not go down. It's not even his chin. He will refuse to go down. So even when people said, "Oh, he almost got stopped in the 5th round," well, that's what it might look to the casual observer. I knew he would not go down. Renee said the same thing. Renee's like, "Oh, he was never in trouble of going down." Yeah, he was doing some things along the ropes, moving and maybe dipping down where it might have looked like he was going to go down. But he's a tall kid. So,
Yeah.
you know, him bending even halfway at the waist is it's
It
gonna look
looks
like he's going
dramatic.
down. It looks dramatic because he's all of 6'1". I mean, they got him listed at 6 foot. He's all of about 6'1". But
Yeah.
there was one moment in this fight. I might have told you guys this. There's one moment in the fight. The only time I ever got I got a little bit concerned. I think it was the eighth or
refs.
ninth round. It was 8th or 9th round, and Jaime was right there. So I was right there. He was in the red corner here, and I was right here, closer towards the white corner, the neutral corner, but 3 rows back. And he knew where his fans were, all his family and fans, his sister, his mom, everybody, everybody was right here, right? He knew where they were, and there was a moment in that fight where he was on the ropes right there, and he looked over at everybody, trying to scan to see who he could see. And he actually lost focus for a minute, and we were screaming, me, Renee, you know, protect yourself, protect yourself. And for just that brief moment, that split second, 1 or 2
He
seconds,
took a hit.
well, no, he saw and found the motivation, to turn the gas on for those last 3 rounds. He looked and saw the faces. He saw the faces, the looks even of concern, because, you know, we're expecting Jaime. There were so many times early in the fight where we thought he was going to get him out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, as early as the 1st or 2nd round, I mean, he had him on the ropes.
I thought it was over it was a 3rd round, actually. I thought it was
I
over
thought he
the-
had him out. So, but he saw that, and then there was a point where Renee was giving him the signal, like uppercut, uppercut. You know, just you couldn't hear him, but he was doing this. And sure enough, Jaime backed into the corner, into his own corner, and threw that uppercut. And Derevyanchenko's knees buckled. He didn't go down. He almost went down. So, but like I said, in a ring, and AJ, you've been in a ring before. Most fighters, even on a stage, you see images, you see a crowd, you see shapes, but you're not able to focus on any one person. You're just
They're
not.
moving too
the
fast.
blur.
But this was the one where I think you could see Jaime's look on his face. He looked at everybody, and that moment, I swear to God, I knew exactly what he was thinking.
Yep.
Because this is the kind of person he is. He's like, I have to win this fight for them, not for himself, for them. And that's why he was able to carry on. I'm telling you guys, he is just
you know,
that kind of a
I-
person.
he's a good kid.
I think you're absolutely right, bro. And I tell you right now, like I said, I mean, and there was actually another one. I can't remember the exact round, but there's a questionable round when Derevyanchenko actually went down that I thought was a
The
legitimate
8th
knockdown.
round. The eighth round,
That
yeah.
I thought was a legitimate knockdown. I don't know what the
And they
referee
did-
was
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
Um,
knee hit the
His
ground.
knee hit the ground. Yeah.
I went back and I watched the fight twice since the fight on Saturday and stuff. And you know, you have a lot of emotion going there because we're so used to seeing Jaime just, you know, he starts a little slow, but once Jaime kind of gets his focus and his
Left
distance
hook,
right and starts
uppercut.
letting those hands go, it's over. In this situation, like I said again, I'm gonna say it again. This is a Derevyanchenko who went back, a guy as experienced as he is, being at his age and with his vast amateur experience, and being the fact that he's fought the best of the best in the 160-pound division. He's got that experience. He's locked horns.
All, AJ, experience. All the things they say Jaime needs,
all the things
Derevyanchenko
so
has.
This was
Yep.
a very dangerous fight going in this fight. This is why I was so nervous, because I knew that this was going to be probably the hardest test. I didn't worry about guys if it was going to be a Janibek or even a Jamal Charlo or even a Gennady Golovkin. There was always been something particular about Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko is the one guy who knows how to exploit your weaknesses. He's done that against every single fighter. He found the fucking weakness in Golovkin. He found the weakness in Charlo for a while. He found it in Daniel Jacobs, even in his short time in the tough fight, which he wasn't even in condition, and there was rumors that he was sick going into the Carlos Adames fight. But this is a guy who has consistently beat the best. His last fight was against an undefeated top contender that he completely dominated. The bottom line is that Jaime being able to dig that deep and being what he'd already been through and stuff. And this goes back to the exact same thing we talked about the Teofimo fight. Champions come out to fight every round. They don't take rounds off. They don't make the mistake that guys like Oscar De La Hoya made in the past against Tito Trinidad, where he coasted in those last couple rounds, and other fighters have made in the past. What Lomachenko did, you know, in his fight against Teofimo Lopez. Jaime knew that every round was essential. And even though certain rounds didn't go his way, as long as there was another round, there was another opportunity. And that 12th round was that opportunity. The punch came through. And at that point, what else did you have to say? I mean, it's who ends the fight in a positive note. And if you look at the two fighters, who was the more, I'm not talking about physically damaged, Who was the more damaged fighter as far as his persona, what he brought to the ring, all that excitement, all that power, all that prowess? Who was standing tall? Jaime Munguia got his
Yeah.
hands raised. I applaud the referees and everybody. I hope everybody in Ontario loved it, but it's only the start. But I think Jaime said something that I thought was very, he's not going to get into, well, I want this guy, I want this guy. He's not going to do that shit. Jaime knows he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I don't think Jaime was properly prepared for this fight. That's a whole nother reason. Mike can go more into that stuff when not just time,
Morales
but
is a
legal
piece of
things.
work.
There's certain things, guys, you gotta understand something. There's certain things we could talk about on this show, and there's certain things we're not allowed to talk about on this show
True.
because out of respect. You know what I'm saying? Me being an outside person, being a fan, I'm gonna say it straight out. I don't think Eric Morales is the right choice for Jaime Munguia. I could say this being a person on the outside. I think Eric Morales, I think Jaime, his time with Robert Alcazar was more constructive. Maybe they weren't getting the fights that they wanted to get at the time and stuff like this, but those
But
were going to
that's
come.
all. That's
It's
all
that old additive, like
political.
when, and I'm not trying to say Tommy that Jaime Munguia is Tommy Gunn from Rocky V, but it's kind of like what Rocky was trying to tell him, like, hey, they're going to come. Don't fall in this bullshit. And people get in their heads and they want to push them and stuff like this. I know that's not Jaime. Jaime just wants to Jaime's one of the guys that comes to the room and there could be arguments going on. He wants everybody to be happy. That's what it
Very
comes down to.
true.
He
Very
wants
true.
everybody to be happy. He wants peace. He wants calm. He just wants to enjoy this time that he has left in this sport. And he's got a lot of time left at 25 years old. That's another thing people forget. 25 years old.
26. Yeah, he just turned 26. Yeah.
So I mean, he's still learning at the game.
Yeah, he's 26 years old. I mean,
You know,
he's still growing, maturing. I mean, he said it. He said this is the weight where he feels strong at 168.
I'll stop talking because I want Mike and I want you guys to talk, but I'll just say this. When you look at the picture of the 160 to 168 pound division, you look at the guys who are sitting on top, and there's one thing that none of them could defeat, and that's Father Time. Gennady Golovkin is kicking the door of retirement. Jamal Charlo is in his 30s. Janibek in his 30s. Okay. These guys are all pushing those mid 30 ranges. Jaime hasn't even seen 30 yet. You know,
He's 4 years away from 30.
Older than Jaime
Yeah.
Munguia. I mean,
So
the bottom line is
in
that
4 years, if these other guys are still around, Jaime's just going to wipe them out.
I don't think that there needs to be that push for we need to fucking go out there and kind of like and show the world that we're even more devastating off of this victory off Derevchenko. I say just
your
keep
time.
progressing. Keep
Take your
progressing
time.
because the world's gonna those titles are gonna open up and eventually those guys are gonna have to fight you because there's nobody that's out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What did I say at the start of talking about Munguia? I said a lot of fans are jumping on the Jaime train.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it a hype train because there's no hype behind it, but a lot of are jumping on board. And once again, Canelo's 33 now. He may have a couple more fights left in him, but like you said, there's no rush. If they offered Jaime the fight tomorrow, Jaime would take it and he would fight Canelo tooth and nail, and he would either knock Canelo out or go out on his show.
Yep.
Or get stopped. That's it. It's end of story. But like you said, AJ, there's no rush. He'll fight anybody, which is why he doesn't call people out. He doesn't.
I don't understand why
disrespect
people have such an issue with Jaime's resume. Let me be real brief here. Okay.
It's just haters, bro.
Demetrius
There's a segment at the
Ballard,
just
who was a
haters.
stellar amateur, was thoroughly dominated by Jaime Munguia. You can even
and he
go
was
back a couple
and he
fights
was
from there.
undefeated, 22-0.
Toriano Johnson, who was a light heavyweight contender who moved down and fought Jaime at literally almost a catchweight. I mean, Spike O'Sullivan. I mean, these guys, when they're fighting anybody else in the boxing world, it's a competitive, it's a step up. But when it's Jaime, I think it's because the expectation is here. And I'm going to tell you what it is. The only way that you can get Canelo in the ring is through his pride. You can't insult Canelo to get in the ring. A la David Benavidez. It's never going to work that way, David. Take a little word of advice. Okay. You do better if you went down to Canelo's house, made him some tamales, and washed his fucking car. And maybe he might give you that opportunity. Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom line is this, is that Jaime Munguia has the one thing that Canelo may just want to take, and that's his fans. That Mexican base that is building bigger and bigger. And if there's one thing about a Mexican fighter, especially when you're talking Guadalajara and Tijuana, there's that rivalry. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, Canelo's got it in his head right now. You know, maybe this kid's vulnerable. Maybe I take that risk, but maybe that risk is worth taking. Jaime Munguia, Canelo Alvarez, Guadalajara, Tijuana, Cinco de Mayo, fuck. What can you say, brother?
Cinco de Mayo next year or in September. But like I said, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Not this
No,
year. I mean,
no.
maybe next year. And there's no reason for it to happen this year. I think where Jaime, I don't know if you guys saw this, but in the post-fight press conference, somebody there, some member of the media, accepted a phone call, and Jaime put the phone to the microphone. It was Jose Benavidez Sr. congratulating Jaime, blah blah blah. Basically telling him a great fight. You're a great fighter. We'd love for you and David to share the ring together, him and David. And Jaime was, he was accepting of the congratulations. He said thank you. But there's a fight where I think David Benavidez is already signed or just about ready to confirm the signing that he's going to fight David Morrell. So we very well could see no more David Benavidez after that fight with Morrell, if that fight does in fact come to fruition.
You know how I feel about David Morrell, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
David Morrell might end David Benavidez.
Yeah, David Morrell is, to me, honestly, the most dangerous 168-pound fighter in the world. He's a guy that's eventually going to move up to 175. I mean, this is a guy who's not just beating fighters, he's ending their careers. What he did to Falcao in his last fight is just a testament of the type of fighter that he is. Anybody who doesn't know anything about Falcao, go back and watch who this guy was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was thoroughly destroyed.
Wow.
Going back a little bit about the hate that Jaime gets, because there is when I see other Mexican American or Mexican fans hating on Munguia, it's because they felt threatened by him.
Of course,
because they're Canelo fans.
Yep.
I mean,
that's why I told you it's a rivalry, bro. Guadalajara and Tijuana. It's a rivalry. Yeah, Guadalajara people, Mexicans look down on Tijuana. I want to say it though, just the way it is. It's the way they are.
They do.
They got more money.
Do.
They look down on him. That's the only reason why I don't see Canelo taking this fight, because he doesn't want to hand that reign over to a kid who should be selling chiclets in Tijuana. In his mind,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So the hate that Jaime gets is, there's a lot of haters, so a lot of guys that say blah 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 blah. He hasn't fought nobody, but then when he does fight somebody, well they were old. When he fought Dennis Hogue, when he fought not Dennis Hogan, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about his the last one. Oh, I know you're talking about. Oh my God, I can't even think right now. I don't even talk about that. The one he just knocked Kelly.
Jimmy Kelly. They the bottom line is this: Jaime will only fight the guys that the management, Zanfer, De La Hoya put in front of him. He'll fight anybody, and I don't know why we have to keep going back 6 years. When the kid was 20 years old, he wasn't even old enough to buy a beer yet in California. He was here ready to fight Gennady Golovkin, who was at the time undefeated and the monster of the division. Right? He had the draw with Canelo. They were trying to do the rematch. Remember, Canelo got popped for clenbuterol. Yep. I know we said this before, but it just kills me. And I have some people that I know that I think are good boxing writers and journalists. And for anybody to doubt Munguia's courage, who he'd fight, all you have to do is go back 5.5 short years and say, well, no, because the kid was ready to fight Triple G, and he would have gotten in the ring and fought Triple G. Probably would have lost that fight. I mean, but he would have went out like a warrior. Because it's inside of him. It really is.
He may have lost, but you know what? Quite honestly,
you
never know. Those body shots. I mean, quite honestly, Munguia's body shots are what I wouldn't want to take one.
And you know what's funny too about the body shots is that, and like I said, just browsing and scouring the internet the last couple of days, reading what people were saying about the fight. The same segment of fans that 3.5 weeks ago were saying, oh, Devin Haney's body work was beautiful and you got to score body shots and that's how he won the fight, are turning around and saying, well, Munguia didn't really, they're completely ignoring the body work that he did. The fact that he had Derevyanchenko hurt multiple times with body shots, dropped him with body shots. Devin Haney never hurt Lomachenko with a body shot or dropped him. Maybe they had a couple good body shots on Lomachenko, but nothing that ever hurt him or dropped him. So why give so much credit for one but not the other? And I know the answer. It's a rhetorical question. It's because they just don't like the kid. It's just because people let their skin color get in the way and blind their vision.
It's more than that. It's more than that. The kid is a good kid. Period.
He doesn't fit the mold of the villain. They want the villain, man.
He's not a trash talker. Yeah. He's not one that's going to get 1 million YouTube followers or whatever the hell they're wanting. but the kid is a good kid. He's a good fighter. He's a boxer, and I don't know.
There-
To
there was
me,
something
it
I was
really
gonna bring. I'm gonna
pisses
talk
me
to you
off
guys about it
that this boxing sport that I love
Yeah.
is changing.
Yep.
You know, they're putting these freaking Jake Paul dumbasses,
Perfect,
quite
right.
honestly, out there. And when you got a true fighter like Munguia that should actually be out there and actually create, you know, taking these bigger rounds or bigger fights. But like with Mannix, what Mannix was saying, you know, talking all this shit about Munguia. All these people over years have purposely not said Munguia. They've just literally not said his name because they
Yeah.
don't want to face somebody like that. They don't want to face somebody that
Well-
is actually in there to box and to fight and to actually win. They want to fight the next payday. And Munguia is one, quite honestly, I honestly believe he's going to get over 50 or over 50 undefeated. He's going to win multiple titles if he stays true to himself.
The perfect
Anyway.
point, bro.
He
Sorry.
will. He
So-
and he will. Like I said, he's got good character. I think a lot of there's going to be some changes. I think maybe for the next time we see Jaime Munguia in
I
the
hope.
ring, there will be
You
some
guys-
positive changes for
If
him.
you guys don't mind, I want to bring up a little something. So I know
Sure.
Mike, you made a comment about my t-shirt tonight. There was actually a shirt that I was looking for tonight. It was an old throwback boxing shirt that I just couldn't find it. And I wanted to use his take with Munguia. And I think the thing is that Munguia, the reason why he's not connecting with the casual fans, because we live in a YouTube casual boxing scene now.
Mhm.
So today in boxing, with your social media presence and how you run your mouth and the people you surround yourself with, you could set yourself up into what's considered a mega fight. That's not the way it was done back in the day. Back in the
Yeah.
day, the only way you got yourself into a mega fight was to climb that ladder and
Yeah.
to beat the guys that you had to beat. It all kind of changed around right after Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran and the No Mas fight. Things started to change a little
Mas.
bit and stuff. But the thing is that what Jaime's given to the fans, and people will be like, well, why do you like Jaime Munguia so much? It's because even the casual fans are
real.
getting a taste of what it used to be like to watch a throwback fighter.
A real
Yeah,
Jaime is
and that's a
true
term that's
throwback.
used a lot. But
He is a throwback fighter. He's a guy that says, listen, I'm going to put myself in a fight. I'm going to fight the guys that most guys don't want to fight. Yeah, I got flaws. I got things I'm working on, but you don't really know what I'm going to bring to the table until it happens. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be, and you know what? You put those two good days, bad days together, and you know what you get? An amazing fight like we just saw this Saturday. And I hope to see so many more of those. We
Yes.
need more fights like Jaime Munguia versus Derevyanchenko more than fights like
Garcia versus Payne.
like
Yeah.
like Sonny Edwards versus Pedro Camp. I mean, we don't need fights like that where everything is so one-sided. We knew going into this fight this is going to be a dangerous fight because Jaime is that throwback fighter. But the one thing that Jaime showed that truly makes him a throwback fighter is that ability. And there was another fighter that we were associated with for many years, still a good friend of ours, and that was the Gladiator, John Molina. And I hope
Yeah.
everything's going great out there,
Yeah.
Johnny, if you're watching. And Johnny was that throwback fighter. You go back to Johnny's fight against Mickey Bay when he was put in there as a sacrificial lamb against Mayweather's next it boy.
Yeah.
And to the bitter end, Johnny knew he had won a fucking round, but he always told himself, give me one more round. Like Mickey used to say, one more round, Rock, one more round. And
Yeah.
that round came over, Johnny let it go. That's Munguia. See, that's what makes Munguia so great. It's not that he's the best at what he does. It's the fact that he's willing to try from second one to that 3-minute mark, from round 1 to round 12.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see that in a lot of fighters. Too
Yeah,
many fighters
true,
want to
very
beat
true.
Floyd Mayweather and take rounds off. I honestly go back and it breaks my heart when I look at where Lomachenko's career has ended.
Ugh.
Because if he would have stayed that type of fighter, which Lomachenko was a throwback fighter in a lot of ways. Go back to his fight against Gary Russell and other fighters.
Yeah.
But something changed against Teofimo Lopez. He let himself get caught up in that social media world.
I think he
He
also
should've
listened
just
to
stayed
his corner
who he
too
was, yeah.
much.
And don't get me wrong, I think Lomachenko won that last fight. But let's be honest. A true Vasily Lomachenko should have never even been in a competitive fight against
Hey,
a guy like Devin Haney. He's so much more talented.
Can we
Brings
talk
so
about
much
that?
more to the table.
It came down to, you know, you had a natural featherweight fight, the guy that probably could be fighting at easily at 140.
Yeah.
That'll grow into a 147. Devin Haney's a
That's-
big kid.
But there was another fighter that was
Hey,
just like that, bro,
but-
back in the days. And I just mentioned a minute ago. That was Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran was a guy who didn't matter what division you threw him in. Even as
Yeah.
far as when he went up to fight against Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Everybody's like, he's gonna get destroyed. But it's what Duran brought. That's what Lomachenko has. That's what Jaime Munguia has. You got to just stay that course and stay tough, man. If
Yeah.
you start to doubt yourself, a la Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor doubted himself this week, and he found himself on the short end of the stick.
Hey, real quick, if I can just kind of, I think we would be remiss if we did not mention this, the Lomachenko fight that just happened a while back. I mean, you talk
Yeah.
about the freaking biggest robbery on the
It was a
planet.
robbery. I agree. I honestly think Lomachenko won the fight, but I'm going to go back and say something that I know Mike I think Mike's going to agree with me. I love the fact that Lomachenko didn't listen, and I think it's the biggest error that he has in his repertoire right now, and that's Papachenko.
Yeah, no,
Papachenko
you're
was
right,
never a
you're right.
fighter. He may have taught his son some great things with his Ukrainian ballet, and he taught him to be the person that he is. But at this age and this stage of his career, Lomachenko's got to understand there's only one person who can win that fight in the ring, and that's him.
Yeah.
And listen to that passive, defense-minded person. I understand that's a dad being
He
a dad.
won that
I'd
fight,
probably be
though.
the same way with my son. I'd be
You
the
know,
same
he-
way. You don't want to see your son get hurt.
Well, he
This
just
is
wants
the
he
pro
wanted to
race.
stay he wanted to stay defensively responsible because he knew that, you know,
But at
you
that
know,
point,
there was a lot.
you got to know what you're in. You're in Devin Haney's world at that point. You got to
But,
do something
yeah.
dramatic. A knockdown, anything could have changed the face of that fight. And he had the ability and the skills to do it. But that hesitation, he doubts himself, and that doubt is what cost him, and what broke my heart when I saw him crying in the thing, because he knows in his heart he's got nobody else to blame but himself.
You know,
Well, I'm
you
going
know
to
what,
disagree.
no,
I don't.
no.
I think he could very well for the rest of his life blame the referee and blame the judge in that fight. Because
100%.
you can blame Glenn Moretti, Dave Moretti, who gave Haney 5 of the last 6 rounds.
No, I agree.
Stupid.
But you remember we've
I mean-
always said, bro, we've always said you got to go if you're going to win a champion, you got to take the title from a man. And today we know how these judges are. They're so fickle. I mean, how many times have we seen
No,
guys just get
it's not
completely
even fickle,
robbed?
brother. It's not fickle. Something is going on, and something
Yeah,
needs
of
to be
course.
changed. Something absolutely has to change in the boxing, stratosphere, I guess you might say. Robberies are happening all the time.
I know.
I saw.
They've always happened, but now they're just more. They're
They're
more.
more rampant now.
Yeah, they're more prompt. I mean, they happen more frequently now. And
You know how
the
you end
problem is they
robberies?
happen now with a lot of eyes on them now, whereas before you didn't have all the eyes on them. How many people watched boxing 20 years ago? Now everybody's watching on their phones and apps and
Yeah.
computers, the Zone, ESPN, all this stuff. So yeah, they've always been there, but now that the light is just shined on them. And it's
And
turning
so-
people away. It's still turning people away from boxing.
That's the bad thing about boxing. I mean, when you have a robbery, like the Lomachenko fight, clearly he won the fight.
And it wasn't
Period.
like he won 10 rounds out of 12. That's not why the robbery was the scope of it, why it was what it was. It was because of what he did.
Yeah.
It's because a guy who could have easily went and fought Kambosos and won all 4 belts easily, right? Decided to go home to Ukraine, right? To be with his family, was out of the ring almost a year. And the fact that he took on a guy that was, they said that the next Floyd Mayweather, a young kid, 23, 24 years old. When you talk about an age difference, I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
there was a what 11, 12 year age difference so
Yeah.
but that's why in my opinion the scope of the robbery, why it was so huge, because
And
it
I
wasn't a
agree.
hard fight to score. Devin
No,
had some success,
I had
but
Lomachenko winning the fight. But remember what I told you, bro, man, when I text you? I said, you know what? They're not going to give it to him. I knew they weren't going to give it to him.
yeah,
Because like you said, I
that's
knew
all
they weren't going to give it to
that's
him.
all Bob Aaron. That's
And I
all.
knew they
and
weren't gonna do
Teddy Atlas is exposing him finally. It only
He
took him.
did it to Manny Pacquiao. He's done it to so many other fighters. You knew he was going to do it to Vasily Lomachenko. He needs that next. You see, Devin's got the one thing that Vasily can't buy: years.
Yeah,
He can't buy years, man. And
Yeah.
Devin has years on him. Loma doesn't. So you got a short package with Loma. So he's gone where he's gone with them. So he's going to use him as a sacrificial lamb. The fight was close enough to where he was able to do that, take a little bit of robbery things and say, okay, well, that's the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
it's kind of
hey-
already forgotten. It's kind of already
hey,
forgotten. I mean,
no,
nothing's
exactly.
really going to change.
Okay, so guys, real quick question. Where does Loma go now?
I'll be honest with you. I'd like to see, honestly, I don't know if Loma could do it or not, but I really think I would love to see him drop down in weight. I would love to see him fight a guy like a Shakur Stevens. I would like to see something like,
Well, Shakur's at 135 now.
but I mean, if Shakur was still back at that weight, or maybe, let's see, who else is at that weight?
130, the champs at 130 right now are,
Stephen Fulton, right?
no, he's 122.
Yeah.
130 right now, you have
Neverete.
You know, I personally, I think Loma needs,
Navarrete, Oscar Valdez, those guys, yeah.
I think
130.
Loma needs to get another title and then effing retire. You know what I mean?
I
Get your
believe
title.
I believe Dogbay
and
holds the
retire.
title right now. Does Dogbay or
No,
did
Dogbay lost that last. I thought he lost that last fight.
he lost that last fight? That's right.
Yeah, he did. Actually, I can't even think right now. I know
There's some, but Navarrete and Oscar Valdez are getting ready to fight for the 130-pound title in August.
and that fight I'm kind of torn on because I'm not a big fan of Neverete. I honestly felt that he got out with the skin of his teeth in that last fight. Oscar looked a lot better in his last fight and what he had to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, is Oscar still going to be susceptible to get hit by those awkward punches from Neverete?
Yeah,
He's shown the ability. You saw it in the Shakur Stevens fight. Now, let's be honest. Whether you like Shakur or not, I think Shakur will thoroughly dominate a guy like Neverete just based on skill alone. Neverete is not a very skilled guy. But if he gets in there against a guy who's got that come forward kind of mentality, like Oscar Valdez,
Well,
it
you know,
fits the
I'm
picture.
I'm gonna like totally go against you on there. I honestly think Navarrete against Shakur Stevens would probably be a really good fight, really close.
I don't know, man.
That'll never happen. I don't think because Shakur is going up. Shakur is at 135 now. Navarrete is at 130. Remember, he fought at 122, then 126. So this is Navarrete's third weight class.
Oh.
And even though he's got long arms, he's kind of a thin guy though.
But look at the titles that Neverrete's won. I mean, the guy consistently fights nobody. He's always finding a way to win a title against somebody who just. The kid from Australia was a nobody. Let's be honest. The kid was a nobody.
Okay.
And the kid almost put him to sleep.
Oh,
Right.
Hector Luis Garcia,
totally
the one
get
that just
that. I
lost
totally
the
get
tank,
that. But
he's still a
however-
title holder at 130.
Yeah, that guy's fucking.
He's still a
penniless.
title holder.
Hey,
Loma could easily
hey,
beat
now
any of
that
these
you
guys
said
at 130.
All right,
Easily.
now that you opened up the tank thing, I'm sorry. I want anybody to destroy Tank.
It's gonna be
Who
hard.
Does
It's gonna
it?
be hard. It's gonna be hard
No,
because
Tank's not going to fight anybody, guys.
it's not gonna fight anybody.
He will not fight anybody. He doesn't have to. He's making $10 million by fighting.
He's going
You-
down the Mayweather road, the circus sideshow. He's
Yeah,
gonna find the next YouTube sensation to fight, just like Mayweather just does. He's going down that route. I mean, let's be honest.
I
Mario
am,
Barrios, even Ryan Garcia. The provisions he put, I know we didn't really talk about it, but the provisions that he put on Ryan Garcia, making a fighter rehydrate and all this kind of, it's bullshit. You got to put those kind of advantages to you. That is what it is.
So badly. You have no idea. I want so badly. I will watch or go to any Tank fight where I think he could possibly lose. I am looking forward to that day.
yeah. He's not going to fight nobody. He'll fight another 2-3 fights and he'll be done. He's made enough money. He's a guy that's going to go down in history as had never had a
loser.
meaningful fight in his entire life.
Yeah.
His most meaningful fight was over Ryan Garcia.
A guy who's still a newcomer,
Yeah.
Basically.
basically a newcomer.
And we'll see how that one ages, because like I said, who's Ryan going to fight next?
Yeah, Ryan's got. I mean, these
The
guys.
going got tough, and Ryan just cashed it in.
Yeah.
He just stayed on it. He just stayed on his knee. He could have got up. I know body shots hurt. Even if he would have got up and then went back down, at least try to get up.
Hey,
But
Mike,
yeah.
let's jump in before we run out of time. Let's talk about Tim Tszyu right now. He's got a fight coming up.
yeah, this Saturday on Showtime, Tim Tszyu is staying active once again. I don't want to be the guy to kind of say, man, I told you so. But he just fought Tony Harrison a couple months ago. He's jumping right back in now, fighting this Carlos Ocampo, who's a tough guy, right? He's strong and he's physically a big guy. He's big. He's like 5'10".
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm right, 5'10", 5'11". Ocampo's a big kid. I saw him get off the plane in Australia.
Well,
He just
Ocampo's been fighting better at 150 at 156, better than when he fought against Errol Spence when he was fighting at 147. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So he's a big kid, 154. Yeah, 154. But
154.
I really, really hope Tim Tszyu, he says he's not overlooking this guy, but I really hope he's not overlooking Ocampo, because Ocampo could derail him. He's the kind of guy that's coming all the way over to Australia, right? He's got nothing to lose. Those are the dangerous guys.
Those are the big
dangerous guys.
those are the Lauras. You just never know, bro.
And Charlo, meanwhile, supposedly is, back in training, but then I heard that, well, he kind of re-injured his hand again in training, which I just think is a bunch of nonsense. What he's doing, he's stalling out. He's waiting for Tim Tszyu to lose, or he's waiting for him to get tripped up in some way, a form or fashion. So he doesn't have to fight
showing against Ocampo, so he can say, hey, this guy, there's no money to be made.
Something. And if he loses, let's say something happens and he loses the fight, this is a risk that I do not necessarily think Tim should be taking.
I agree. We saw that just recently with another fighter from the 154-pound division, and that was Sebastian Fundora. He took that risk. He didn't need to take that fight against Brian Mendoza, but he took that fight, a stay busy fight. We saw at the end of the day what happened in that fight.
Didn't he lose?
Yeah, he
got knocked out viciously.
Yeah.
And anything like that can happen. Anything like that can happen with Tim. And it's not because Ocampo is on the same level as Tim, but Tim is human. He's a human being. You can't get up for a fight like this when you know what I mean? It's just hard to get up for this kind of fight. Tony Harrison did a good job of getting under Tim's skin, so Tim was up for that fight. This guy Ocampo's staying silent.
It's like what happened.
Not saying a word.
It's very, very, very similar, bro, to the Brian Mendoza, Sebastian Fundora fight.
Yeah.
You got a guy who you don't really need to fight. You could see it in Fundora. I don't know how much he got up for the fight and stuff. We knew that there was elements, that there was danger, but he didn't really, he just figured it was going to be another walk in the park. You saw when he was talking to his dad during the corner. It's like, I got this guy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He said, boom. All it takes is one shot, man. It's boxing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was that one shot froze him, and then the final one put him out. Anyways, let's just hope that Tim really did prepare for this fight, because it happens this Saturday.
It's a quick turnaround too, man. It's a fast turnaround.
Yeah, he just fought a couple months ago. Tony Harrison, what was that fight in February?
Yeah. So
February or early March?
Sometimes that could actually be the good thing, though. You know what I mean? Because you're staying in the mix, basically.
Well, no, it's good to stay active, but he could have stayed active with a domestic level guy. And I know he's not looking for an easy win, but sometimes these guys that have experience, Ocampo, like I said, he was in there. He has fought a guy like Errol Spence. He's a tough Mexican. This one, of all the fights, this one scares me more than the Tony Harrison fight, even though Tony Harrison physically
Ocampo's got legitimate power. He doesn't got the greatest chin in the world, but he wasn't knocked out by a face punch. He was knocked out by a body punch by Errol Spence.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing is you go back and you look at another Australian fighter who recently got tripped up, and his chance, he was knocking on the door of a world title. And that was Stevie Sparks. Stevie Sparks had that. It looked like everything was going his way. He took this fight, a fight he didn't really need to take. And he got tripped up. And it's unfortunate, especially a guy that I thought honestly was really going to throw his hat in the title run at 147 pounds. I thought Stevie, based off of his loss against Tim Tszyu, just showing the overall grit that he showed in that fight.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Carlos Ocampo's box record right now. He's got 37 fights with 23 knockouts, 35 wins. He's lost twice. He lost a decision to Fundora, and he got stopped by Errol Spence. But like I said, with the body shot down at 147, that was years ago. That was about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I just hope that the matchmakers, those guys, Glenn Rose or Glenn Jennings and Matt Rose, those guys that called this fight, didn't pick the wrong guy, because it very well could happen.
Yeah, you just never know with some of these guys. I absolutely, and I think that's a big thing, is that's a part of boxing right now that I think people need to stop using their hearts and start using their heads, is these matchmakers. Especially if you've got a guy and you're trying to get him, and that he's on the cusp of greatness like Tim Tszyu is. I mean, he's got a chance to become, undisputed champion against Jermell Charlo. It's right around the corner, and he's earned it. just like Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
He's beating the guy who beat the guy who beat the guy. Everybody to keep putting in front of him. But this is the kind of fight, and I agree with Mike, that kind of gives you that little, what's my motivation? What's my
Yeah.
whatever? And you bring in a guy, and like Mike said, a guy that's got nothing to lose. These are the kind of fights where you can lose it all.
He's a big kid, 5'10.5". I mean, Tim Zoo's only goes about 5'8", maybe 5'8.5". This kid is a good sized kid.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, he had his moments. I remember his fight against it was probably the one fight that Fandora took a lot of punches was against
Right.
Ocampo.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was Fandora was hurt on a couple of occasions. I mean, it was
And
This is-
prior to the Mendoza fight, we hadn't really seen Fundora hurt. He took a good shot, even against. I mean, he got a little bit rocked against Lubin, but
and who
Lubin's a
knows?
big,
And
strong
maybe-
fighter.
Maybe the combination of that punch Lubin landed and then what Ocampo landed on him, and then he falls into Mendoza, and that's all it takes, man.
Yeah, you're right.
So we'll see.
So,
what
anyways, I'm gonna predict the Tim Tszyu win, but like I said, I think this fight's gonna be tough. I think this fight's gonna be even tougher than the Tony Harrison fight.
It's gonna be tougher than I think a lot of people do because the guy's got a little bit more physical. He may not have the skill Tony Harrison, but he might have a little bit more grit. He might.
And he's
just
been
come
active.
in-
And he's been active.
He's been active.
Okay, so I'm gonna go completely opposite you guys. Tim Tszyu in 5 to 6 rounds, knockout.
I'm
Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see that. I mean,
gonna also go. I'm gonna go. I think Tim wins the fight. I think Tim might run into a little bit of a situation like what he ran against with Boucher, where he might take a punch or two and to wake him up. And then
Yeah.
once he does that, then Tim kind of that machine turns on. And I think he just wears Ocampo out. And being the fact that Tim is, I think, probably a better body puncher than Errol Spence, I think he stops Ocampo late with a body shot.
The thing I like about Tim Tszyu, quite honestly, is if he goes to the body, it's gonna make things change completely.
Well, it takes the
Yeah.
power away.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go back and I watch when Tim Tszyu fought against Jeff Horn. That was probably one of the most masterful. The head body, how he was working that was absolutely perfect. It was almost kind of like you started to feel bad for Jeff Horn. It's kind of like, dude, didn't matter where he tried to block something, Tim found that spot. So Tim's been in situations like what happened in the Goucher fight where he got dropped. He reacted the right way. He got up. He was in no major problem. It was a flash knockdown. It happens.
yeah,
Got caught cold, but he came back and dominated a guy who's a top contender. He's a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
And dominated him and dominated forward. What he did against a strong guy who gave a guy like Munguia was probably weight training in a way, the same situation, was able to physically outdo this guy and just basically have his way with him for the
within a way,
entire
yeah.
fight.
Dennis Hogan.
What he did with Dennis Hogan, but I think the most impressive is fighting against an experienced guy who's been at that upper echelon, who already holds the win over the guy that Tim wants in Jamel Charlo, and that's Tony Harrison. And to
Yeah.
beat him the way that Tony Harrison is, nobody beats Tony Harrison like that. Go back to when even Tony Harrison lost to Jamel Charlo. Tony Harrison was winning that fight.
Yeah,
He got lazy, he got caught, and he got himself out of position, and shit happens. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Tim just has to just understand that from this point forward, there can't be any more of those mistakes. You've already made those mistakes, learn from those mistakes, move forward, go through this guy, and then don't do shit. Just work in the gym and wait for Charlo to get the shit.
yeah, yeah. No more. Anything can happen. You could hurt your hand, anything, and then they'll go, oh, well, we have a date set for the fight, and it's going to go to first bid, and we're going to get the next guy because you're not really ready to fight. I mean, anything can happen. That's what I'm saying. These got to be calculated risks, and I don't see the calculation in this.
They're trying to make a Brian Castano Charlo 3, and I'm gonna tell you right now, honestly, as much as people may doubt me, I see Brian Castano winning that trilogy fight. I think Brian Castano takes a page from Derevyanchenko and says, hey, this is what I did in the first fight that was good. This is what I did in the second fight that was bad. Now I'm going to put these two things together and I bring it to Charlo. I think he's got more to bring, but we'll see what happens. But we don't want to see Brian Castano, basically benefit from Tim Tszyu's
Misfortune,
misfortune, his miscalculations. Just keep going the path, expose of this guy, and move forward.
Yeah, just get rid of him. Yeah.
True.
So, all right, guys, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, man. That was good to get back together with you guys. and talk some boxing. Let's go
It's
ahead
great
and,
to see you guys.
yeah, you too. Let's go ahead and we'll try to come, well, this weekend's fights, who we have fighting this weekend? We have the Tim Zoo fight. So let's come back here next Monday and let's talk about it. Let's go ahead and, if you guys want to set it up for next Monday,
Yeah,
and we'll come back and, like I said, hopefully we'll have some good news to report. And, Tim's dominant and keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
what he's got
So,
to do. It's what he's got to do. You know what I'm saying? Just keep doing what he's doing. But like I said, good day. It was a good last week of boxing. I'm excited to see Tim Zeus fight. I think it's gonna be
Say hi
another.
to Jaime
fight.
for me.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I see him, he'll probably be heading back to TJ, if not already back there. But next time I see him or Renee sees him, I'll make sure to let him know. So,
Sounds good, brothers.
all right, fellas. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday with our post-fight wrap-up of the Tim Zoo versus Carlos Ocampo fight. For everybody here at Into the Ring Live, have a great night, everybody. For your 3 favorite hosts of boxing, Mike,
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
We'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Have a good night, brothers, man. You guys be safe, bros. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.